All right, it looks like we are a go. It looks like we are all systems go. It looks like it's a tad bit blurry, but it looks like it's trying to work itself out. What is going on? I hope everybody is having an awesome day today. If this is your first time on the TubeBuddy channel, we are going to be talking about the process of momentum and why channels do better over time so that you can also get some momentum going with what it is that you're doing so that you know what to expect, you know kind of how this stuff works so that you also don't get discouraged with what it is that you are doing on YouTube. So my name is Nick. I help people grow their YouTube channels, make videos, and all types of other YouTube related stuff. And you are watching this on the TubeBuddy channel. TubeBuddy is the #1 browser plugin for YouTube content creators. You can install TubeBuddy for free at tubebuddy.com/install. So I do want to give a quick what's up to the usual crew that's in here. We got Paul Peck Drywall in the house, Stanley Orchard. We got Gillian Adventures. What is up? Lily Tree. Everybody else that's here in the chat, Creator Fundamentals. What is going on? Nice to see you in here as well. But I hope everybody is doing fantastic and having an awesome week. So we're going to get into it. So basically, when it comes to generating momentum on YouTube, there's a handful of factors that we are going to go over that lean towards you generating like real momentum on YouTube. So the very first part of it is I want to kind of explain how all of this stuff works in terms of getting that ball rolling. Eric, Modern Day Tech, what's up, dude? So the idea is when you first start out on YouTube, and I've got like a nice handful of things that we're going to go through here, and I do want to let you know as well that we are going to be answering your YouTube questions. So when I get through the actual content here, then I'm also going to answer your questions. So if you have anything that you want answered, make sure that you leave it down in the comment section. No, I'm just kidding. If you have a question that you want answered, make sure you leave it in the form down that's in the video description, not in the comment section, not in the live chat. So basically, when you first start out on YouTube, you have, let's say, your first 10 subscribers, your first 100 subscribers, but you don't have a lot of content yet, right? You're just getting started. You're just putting out a handful of videos. So you don't have any back content that is bringing people into your channel on a regular basis, right? So a lot of times you'll see people say like, oh, once you cross this many subscribers, YouTube gets easier. Or once you cross this many subscribers, YouTube gets easier. 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000. And the subscriber count isn't what makes that easier or what makes it seem like it's easier or like it grows faster. What it is that's actually doing that is it's the fact that you've created this content that people are responding to, which is something we're going to get into here in just a little bit in terms of how to do that. But you're creating content that people are responding to, and you start having all of these little, I call them soldiers, you start having all these little like video soldiers out there that are constantly just grabbing people and bring them into what it is that you're doing based on the interest that they have. So when you first start, you don't have that. When you are getting going and you're getting the ball rolling and it seems like things are like, wow, things are really starting to pick up here, it's because you start having all of this content that is actually bringing more and more people into your channel over time. So what I want you to do, like especially if you're just starting out and you're like, man, this is taking forever. What I want you to do is I want you to just think about it and think like, okay, well, how many videos do I have? TubeBuddy actually put out a video about this recently in terms of what their data says in terms of how many views it takes to get to, or how many videos it takes to get to 100,000 subscribers, how many videos it takes to get to 10,000 subscribers or 1,000 subscribers and all of that. So I really recommend that you take a look at that. But that back content is really important. And when it comes to that back content, you also want to make sure that you have a strong back library. And what I mean by that brings us to the second thing that I want to talk about here, which is making sure that you stay in alignment with the interests of the people that are watching your videos. So as content creators, we want to just kind of do whatever it is that we want to do, right? We want to just make whatever it is that we want to make. And of course, we want people to respond in a positive manner to what it is that we're making, right? So because of that, we want to make sure that we are putting out content that is stuff that we like to put out. But when it comes to generating real momentum on YouTube, you also want to balance that with what it is that your audience puts out. That's why, or what it is that your audience responds to. That's why you're always hearing people talk about things like, well, you want to do something that you're passionate about, but your audience also responds to. Because if you can find where those two things meet, to where you have your audience over here that responds to your content and they're interested in this specific set of things, but you're also interested in that specific thing so that you're making content for people that are into similar things than you are, then you create a perfect situation for your channel to do really, really well. Because with YouTube, how it works is basically they are building profiles of sorts, okay? They're building profiles around the type of people that are watching your content. So they're building it on every single piece of content everybody watches on the platform. So when you can keep what it is that you are doing in alignment, the content that you're putting out, every topic that you put out, everything that you're talking about, if you can keep that in alignment with the interests of the people that YouTube is showing your content to, because they have built profiles on the ideal people that should be watching your content, or that they think is the most likely to watch your content at a specific point in time when it gets served to them. Maybe it's on their phone, maybe it's on their computer at home, but basically they are saying, hey, when people log onto the platform, what videos are they most likely to watch right now? We're going to show those to them on their homepage when they log in, because we think that that's what they are most likely to watch right now, right? So when you stay in line, or when you stay in alignment with the interests that your viewers have, what you're doing in that situation is you're saying, okay, YouTube has built this profile around the people that typically watch my content and the things that they're typically interested in. Luckily, they're the things that I'm also interested in. And what YouTube is going to do is YouTube is going to go out and they're going to go and start trying to find other people that are also having similar profiles to the people that are already watching, engaging, and interacting and sharing your content out, right? So because of that, when you stay in alignment with what it is that your audience is into, their interests, then it makes it easier for every single video that you put out for YouTube to say, okay, this video is a great match for this crowd. And then when it shows it to that crowd, and this is where the magic happens, when it shows it to those people that they think are the most likely to watch it, and then they actually respond to it, then that helps you actually get even more momentum, because you're just nailing it every single time that you put out a video. Now, keep in mind, you can't win, every single time. Sometimes you can if you get really good. I'm not that good to win every single video that I put out. However, if you can do that a majority of the time, then your channel is going to do well, and you're really going to pick up some steam over time. But the idea is basically you keep serving that audience, and that audience keeps coming back to you. Like, YouTube shows your content to people, they come in, they're like, wow, this is good stuff, I dig it, I'm going to subscribe. You keep giving them what it is that they like. YouTube identifies that, and they go out and they try to find other people that are similar to those types of people that are already watching your content. Okay, now think of that as you scale it in terms of, you've got 10 videos that are doing that, and then 100 videos that are doing that, and then 200 videos that are doing that. And then you have all of these pieces of content out there that are bringing people into what it is that you're doing for a specific thing that they happen to be interested in. And when YouTube is showing your content to them, every single video that you upload, if they respond to it, then you know that you're on the right path. And that's why, like, learning your analytics and things like that is really important. So here's some things that you want to look for. When you start putting your content out and you start getting, a nice amount of views on your content, let's say like 1,000 views or 2,000 views or 5,000 views on the videos that you're putting out, here's what you want to do. You want to go into your stats, and to know if the content that you're putting out is in alignment with your current audience, like the current viewers of your channel, your current subscribers, you want to go into your stats and you want to click into your videos at the video level, okay? And then what you want to do at that point is you want to go into your traffic sources, okay? So how you get there is you go into your analytics, you go into your video section, you click on whatever video it is that you want. Once you are in that video for the analytics, then you can click on the see more option. Once you click on that see more option, you might have to change the date range because it typically says published. But once you change that date range, then what you can do is you can say, okay, well, I want to look at this for like the last 20 days, okay? So I'm looking at this for the last 20 days or the last 28 days. And during that time, how are people responding to this from the notifications, right? And how people are responding to that from the notifications is going to give you a general idea on if it's the right match or not, because you'll be able to see like the click-through rate on there. And what you want to do is you want to basically chart out all of your content, and you want to start trying to find norms for what is normal, the averages for what it is that you're putting out, so that you can say, okay, well, I put out this video and then people started responding here a lot, my current subscribers. I put out this video and they started responding here a lot. You can also do this just by sorting by looking at different stats by just your subscribers or non-subscribers. But the idea is you want to dig in and you want to figure out how in alignment am I with what it is that my audience actually wants from me? I'm going to give you this example, and this is an example that I give all of the time, because it's a really good example of how I basically took this information and then I kind of broke it because I wanted to put out a piece of content that I just wanted to refer people to. So basically, on my channel, because I teach people how to do YouTube, so my videos that do like, views, subscribers, that kind of stuff, those typically do well. But what I did is I put out a piece of content that basically took my audience into a subsection of my audience. So basically I took it from people that want to grow their YouTube channels and that just want to know the tools and all that stuff available for YouTubers. I took those people and then I filtered them down into the people that just want to live stream. And then I filtered it again down into the people that want to live stream and actually have somebody on in some way. And then I filtered that again by having people on that wanted to just have somebody call in, but not have them actually on there. So it was a video about how to set up a live call-in show. And that video completely tanked because it wasn't in alignment with my core audience, right? So that's the example that I want to give you for that particular situation. But what you want to do is you basically want to look and you just want to see how people are responding to each piece of content that you're putting out and really get familiar with your analytics and try to find norms. Luckily, YouTube gives us, like you see that grayed out area to where you can see, hey, typically you get this many views in this amount of time. Typically you get this much engagement and that sort of thing. However, in terms of the specific things that your audience is responding to, you're not getting the perfect, you're getting the information, but they're not displaying it to you in a way that's like super easy to understand. So some of that you have to do yourself. Okay. Now, of course, at scale, right? Once you get that profile built, then at scale, then you can rely on just like your browse click-through rate. Because like your browse click-through rate is where you find it in the same exact place that you find your notifications, but basically your browse, that will break down into your homepage and that'll break down into your subscribers as well. So in that situation, you can also use that particular one to say, okay, how are my subscribers responding to this? And then how are people responding to this when it's actually on their homepage for your click-through rate? And again, you start looking at your norms for that as well. And that's going to give you an idea of how the people that YouTube is showing your content to in terms of putting it on their homepages, how those people are responding to what it is that you are doing on your channel and the content decisions that you're making. Now, the next thing that you got to think about is when you are going through this process of generating momentum on your YouTube channel is the actual learning curve itself, right? And this is a big one. So when it comes to the learning curve on YouTube, you have this process that most people have to go through of skill development, because there's very few people, they're out there, but there's very few people who come onto YouTube, they make an awesome video right out of the gate, they know how to keep the audience engaged right out of the gate, they know how to make an amazing thumbnail right out of the gate, they know how to make awesome titles right out of the gate. Like there's few people that can actually come in really, really strong right out of the gate, okay? So because of that, there's this learning curve that you have to go through, and we all have to go through it. And basically it comes from the development of skills that also helps you increase all of the statistics that you're looking for when you're trying to figure out what it is that you want to do or need to do better on YouTube, or what's working already or what just needs to improve. So for example, like when you first start out, your videos typically, are not fantastic. Let's just call it what it is, right? Your videos are not fantastic, but you also don't even know how to really edit videos yet. So because of that, you have to go through the process of, learning how to edit your videos. Or let's say that you're starting out and your equipment isn't that great, your audio sucks. And because of that, since your audio sucks, when people come into your video, it might look okay, but when they come into your video, even though you have the other things in place, your audio sucks. And so people come in and they're like, man, I can't even hear what's going on. So, or it's just kind of, not that great in terms of the audio. So I'm out of here. Right? Which then ends up hurting everything across the board. But then over time, you end up saving money for a microphone. You get a microphone, or you borrow a microphone from a friend, or you realize all of a sudden, and this is really funny because this happens a lot, you realize all of a sudden that when you put your camera far away and your microphone is sitting on top of your camera and you're getting this horrible audio, even though you have this awesome microphone, you realize finally, and this is just something that, you know what I mean? Like some people will notice this right out of the way, or they'll watch, YouTube videos and they'll figure it out. But you realize, oh, wait a minute. If I put my microphone on a boom stand and I have my microphone relatively close to me, my audio sounds amazing with this same exact microphone, right? So you just notice little things like that over time that you just didn't think about, right? So little things like that can really make a big difference. And also, when you're first starting, like in a lot of cases, you don't know how to write good titles or make good thumbnails. Like I know that there's a lot of people that are successful YouTubers that still mess up a ton when it comes to titles, to where they'll have videos pop from time to time. I was actually talking to a guy today, but they'll have videos pop from time to time that are, to where they'll write, good titles and they make that good topic choice. But even if they have a good topic choice, they'll blow it in the title because they just haven't taken the time to figure out how to write a good title. And as soon as they get that, then their channel is going to do a lot better. Even though it's already doing well, they're going to do a lot better just because they're going to be able to lean on writing a good title instead of having atrocious titles, even though the video content performs well and even though the thumbnails are performing relatively well. But basically, like when you learn how to make better titles and thumbnails, then that's one of those things. That's one of those that's one of those parts of the skill development that is going to help you generate more momentum. Because the better you get at titles, the better you get at thumbnails, the better you're able to grab somebody's attention and bring them into your channel. And then once you do perfect that skill, the more and more that you do make better thumbnails and you make better titles, and you're able to bring people in, then every single piece of content that you make that is like that, to where you're using or leaning on that improved skill, then you're creating a stronger soldier that is going to go out there and grab viewers for you and bring them into your channel, so to speak. And if you're just joining us, by soldier, I mean a piece of video content, because I'm calling it a soldier. I also want to let you know, this is, if you are just joining us right now, we are talking about the process of momentum and why channels do better over time, just so that you can have an idea of how you can get better results over time and get that snowball effect happening on YouTube. And I do want to let you know, just in case you're not familiar with TubeBuddy, you are watching this on the TubeBuddy YouTube channel. TubeBuddy is the #1 browser plugin for YouTube content creators. You can install it free to see what it can do for you at tubebuddy.com/install. Okay, so MMA Hole says that TubeBuddy helps their digestive system. Yeah, it's good. That's good. So the next thing on the list, or not the next thing on the list, but part of the development process is learning your stats. Now this one, because it's overwhelming to a lot of people, or they're just not numbers people, like as a creative, like it's finding that match of people that are, creatives in terms of like, hey, I just love making content. I love figuring out how to make things look good. I love figuring out how to make a video flow and make people watch longer. I love just, making cool shots and just being a creative. Those types of people typically are not the same types of people that are like, hey, let me go spend 4 hours looking at my stats trying to figure out what people are enjoying on my YouTube channel, right? They wouldn't even look in there for an hour. Thanks, Deveda. So basically, like when it comes to your stats, that's another thing that's overwhelming. But once you go through the process, once you say, okay, now I'm learning how to make videos, now I'm learning how to make titles and thumbnails, now let me go into my stats so I can really fine tune and really start to understand what is happening on my YouTube channel. Because it's more than, hey, I'm just going to put out this video here and hope people come in and they respond to it. It's way more than that. You can do that, and you can definitely get lucky by having people not even get lucky. You can be so skilled and innately understand how to make people respond to your content. Like you can have that ingrained in you to where you don't have to lean on it as much. But for the rest of us, you got to go into your stats and you got to learn how to identify things. And the really cool thing is with YouTube Creator Studio, Nick Ferry, what's up, dude? Long time no talk, man. I hope you're well. Like a really long time. So real quick, Nick here, he reached out just like a random thing, as long as I'm thinking of the same guy, reached out as like a random, like, hey, me and some buddies are online right now, and do you want to hop on? And this was like way back. I think they had like maybe 50 or 100,000 subscribers at the time. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. And I might have had like 10 or something. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'll get on. But anyway, what's up, man? Nice to see you. But basically, like with the stats, like it's really important to really get the stats help you get a really deep understanding of how people are responding to your stuff. Because like when you're just putting out videos and you're like, man, why isn't this working? Then it really starts to give you insight to where you can go in and you can be like, oh, that's why it's not working. My thumbnail sucks. And this data right here says it sucks. I'm targeting browse features, or I'm targeting suggested. And with the amount of impressions that gave me, my thumbnail is garbage. No wonder the video tanked. Let me change my thumbnail and see how it does, right? I was talking to a guy this morning, that same one that I was talking to you about with the titles, and he actually sent me 2 different comparisons. He sent me a video on his channel, and then his buddy made the same exact video. Like literally, because they were it was like a live like event type of thing. They literally made the same exact video. One video got like 300 and something thousand views on it. The other one had almost 900,000. The one with 300,000 views on it had 4.5 million impressions on it. The one with almost 900,000 had 5 million impressions on it. And basically when he sent me the information on it, I was like, right there, look at that right there. Basically what it was, his thumbnail in that situation, across the average, this wasn't a specific traffic source, but his thumbnail after 4.5 million impressions had a 4% click-through rate on it, where the other person with the other video that was pretty much the same video, they had a 10. So they had more impressions, another 500,000 impressions, and they were still able to maintain a 10% click-through rate with that many impressions, and YouTube is just cruising their video. So the first guy hopped on a trend, and you can see it where his video took off, right? Boom! His video took off because he hopped on the trend. He had the timing right, but in terms of packaging the video in a way that people responded to it higher, the other guy won, which then caused his video, even though he had a slow start, it ended up climbing like this and ended up passing the video of the guy that hopped on the trend with the 4% click-through rate, right? So the other things, like the guy with the 4%, he had a little bit longer percentage view, just a little bit on his. He collected just a little bit more watch time on the users that came in. But the thing that I had to explain was, okay, when you are comparing those things in his particular situation, I'm like, okay, the first thing that you have to remember is that people have to click on your thumbnail in order to watch the video. And when you can get people to click on your thumbnail and your title, that's the very first part of the pie. And the thing that I had to explain was, if somebody clicks on your title and your thumbnail and they watch 40% of the video, and you have like a high click-through rate, and both of you have like a 10-minute video, and they watch 40% of your video, well, guess what? If you have a 10% click-through rate and the other person has a 4, but they're watching 50% of the video, guess what? That 10%, they're going to accumulate more watch time per impression, which is what YouTube is wanting. They're going to accumulate more watch time per impression, which is going to cause that video with the higher click-through rate to end up getting more views, because it's basically a stronger piece of content in the very beginning, which is the title and the thumbnail itself. So it's really important that you learn, as part of your momentum process, that you learn how to use your stats, because it will help you identify things like that, to where you can be like, oh, okay, so I noticed that all of my videos with, this much percentage views and this much of a click-through rate coming from browse features, they typically do better than the videos that have, this much retention and this much of a click-through rate with this many impressions in my browse features, as an example, right? You'll be able to quickly notice those things. And then once you start noticing those things, the big thing that's going to help you get momentum is you start looking through your back catalog and you start saying, okay, so I've noticed when I do this, this, and this, that across my back catalog, that my videos typically do better. So because of that, I need to take the information from my back catalog, right? History teaches us what to do in the future, right? So I need to take my back catalog from the last 90 days or so, and I need to say, okay, this is the stuff that performed well. What is it that made these perform well? And what kind of patterns do I see in this stuff that's performing well? So one of the things that he did find out by starting to learn to really dig into his stats is he found out, and this is the friend with the 4% click-through rate, he found out, and this is a great detail to know with your content too, but he found out for his particular audience that when he has a statement in his title versus a question in his title, the statements typically get a lot more views than the questions do, right? So because of that, and that's historical through his channel, so because of that, he knows, well, typically then in that situation, unless it's something where I need to ask a question, I need to make sure that I'm actually making a statement in my title instead of having it as a question, right? So when you start to learn how to use your stats, you can start really fine-tuning these sort of things in order to make sure that you're making that deepest connection at that very first point of contact, which is your title and your thumbnail, with the people that YouTube is showing your content to. Does that make sense, everybody? Just give me a hashtag yes, it makes sense, or no, you lost me, just so I can make sure that I'm explaining all this right so far. Oh, good stuff. And I will change the scene here real quick and let you know that if you have a question about anything it is I'm talking about, make sure that you put it in the comment form down in the description below, because here, once I am through with this here in about 6 minutes or so, then I'm going to start answering questions from that form. But then once you start getting your stats and you start, okay, we got a lot of yeses in here, makes sense. We got a, nah, you lost me on one here. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, so I'm making a video about this on my channel too. So I'll be talking about that because it's like a momentum video as well, to where I'm explaining things with like screenshots and stuff. But basically, sort of. But basically from there, once you start learning your stats, then you can start identifying little things as well. Like okay, you can start saying, well, I noticed that when I put my videos together, my audience retention, that for whatever reason, I can't keep people watching for an extended period of time. So what do? Okay, now I'm gonna start working on my presentation. Now I'm gonna start working on how I'm structuring my videos. Now I'm gonna start working on, fine tuning my edits and all that based around my statistics, right? So once you start developing those skills and once you start identifying that you can go into your stats and you can really dig deep and really start to understand what it is that makes the people that YouTube is showing your content to tick, it can make a huge, huge difference on your YouTube channel, especially when you go from having 10 videos to having 50 videos to having 100 videos, 300 videos, 500 videos, because as you start to grow, the faster that you can gather this information and the faster you can go through this process of skill development, the faster you can go through that, the faster everything is going to go. Because that skill development process, the faster you can start applying the better skills and the better understanding to your audience to more and more content, the faster that things are going to snowball, because you're going to be making more and more content that people are responding to at a higher rate, versus the older content from when you were just getting started that you didn't really understand how to get people respond to yet. So that rate that you're able to develop those skills is pretty critical in terms of, if you're wanting faster growth on YouTube. But in a nutshell, like the creator's journey, it comes down to, basically like you first start, right? You're like unsure, but like, you know what? I want to be on YouTube. I want to put out videos on YouTube. So I'm going to go for it, right? That's like the first thing. And then you start uploading videos and then you start having views come in, right? And then once you start having views come in, you start getting confidence, because you're like, oh, wait a minute, it's working. I got 10 views on this. I got 100 views on this. I got 1,000 views on this one. I got 500 views on this one. I got another 200 views. And you start getting confidence, like, yeah, okay, yeah, I can start getting views now. And then your confidence gets built up even more when you start having people come into your comment section and they're like, hey, good video. Wow, this is a great video. Hey, this helped me out. Or hey, I laughed. I was like hysterical from watching your video. Then your confidence starts building even more to where you're like, wow, not only am I having people come in, but I'm actually like making people laugh. People are telling me that they're laughing when they're watching my entertainment videos, or wow, I'm like helping people with the information I share. Cool. Maybe this information that I'm sharing is good because people are responding to it. And you start building that confidence. And then once you start getting that confidence, then you start committing, right? So you start getting that confidence and then you start committing, because you're like, you know what? Yeah, I'm getting views. This is cool. People are digging my stuff. I'm getting that validation for what it is that I'm doing. So I'm going to commit. And with that commitment, then that starts leading to improvement, because then it goes from, well, I'm just uploading videos because, I'm just uploading videos for the sake of uploading videos to see if anybody will respond to them. It goes from that to like, wow, people are digging what it is that I'm doing. So I'm going to really learn how to do this, so that I can like amplify all this that's going on, because it's awesome. People are watching my videos. I'm getting people talking to me here. People are like sending me messages on Twitter and Facebook and all this stuff, telling me they like my videos. So I'm gonna learn how to do this even better, right? And you start taking that approach to where you're like, yeah, I'm going to improve. I'm going to learn how to edit better. I'm going to learn how to shoot better. I'm going to learn how to present better. But you start getting that feedback, and it leads to that improvement, and that improvement leads to more effective videos, right? So how I was talking before about once you develop those skills faster, then you start making more effective content that people respond to better, right? So you start generating that snowball with higher performing content. And then once you start creating those more effective videos, and you start getting that even more of that reinforcing feedback, and you start seeing better results, even if it's a 10% increase, you start seeing better results. And then that gives you more confidence, and then you want more, right? You're like, oh, this is great. And then you start, like searching for opportunities to try to figure out how to do it, as either like a part-time gig or like something that you actually go all in on and do as like a major part of what it is that you are doing for income, or something that you're just like fully invested into. And then you just keep looping through that process because you want more. So you're learning your stats, you're fine tuning what it is that you're doing. And through that process, you just start getting more and more views, and you start learning how to connect with people that are watching your videos at a deeper level. And you start learning your stats so that you can keep making content over and over again for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years that people keep responding to. And the really cool thing about it is, like with all this stuff on YouTube that people are like freaking out about in terms of like, the different rules that change and all that stuff. What's really funny about that is like the people that are content creators, that are good content creators, and you know who you are, right? If you're a good content creator, you know it. And if you're not yet, you know that too. And you know that there's, stuff that you still got to go through in order to get yourself to that level where you're at that confidence thing that I was talking about, where you're like, yeah, I'm decent at this, right? But like, if you're a good content creator, when things like that happen, they don't really scare you a lot, because when rules change or when things happen on your YouTube channel, you start thinking like, okay, well, this sucks, but if for whatever reason, if something happens here, I still know how to make content and I'm good at it. And the internet is hungry for content. So I can go to all of these other places on the internet and I can make content there. I might have to change the format of what it is that I'm doing, but I was able to figure it out here. Even I was able to figure it out here to where I got 100 subscribers or 1,000 subscribers, or I'm getting 1 million. I've gotten 1 million views over time, whatever it happens to be. But you're like, yeah, I can figure it out here. So I'm 1,000% sure you start at that confidence level on any other platform, to where it's like, yeah, I'm sure that I can figure it out here if I just invest the time into it, because I've already done it over here. I already know how to make content. I already know how to make videos or audio content or whatever it is that you decide to do on that particular platform. But you already have those skills that you've developed that you can also take elsewhere. And the confidence that gives you really helps you, feel comfortable when big changes are happening on the platform that you are putting content out onto, because you know for certain that you can go somewhere else and do the same thing, which is a really awesome thing. And I know there's a lot of people in this chat that feel that way already. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into the questions, and I want to answer your questions. Hopefully we had some questions on this specifically, on the momentum side of things. But another thing too that I want to talk about really quick before we move on is another part of gaining momentum on YouTube is when people start watching more and more of your content. Because if somebody watches one video, then you get that one view. If they watch another video, then you get 2 views, plus the watch time that comes with that, plus the engagement that comes with that, or the ad revenue that comes with that. And then they end up watching a third, or they leave and they come back to your channel and they watch more. But when you start getting people to watch more and more of your content, either in one session or they just keep coming back because, again, you're in alignment with what it is that they are interested in, and you're putting out content that's a good fit for them over and over and over and over again, what happens is YouTube starts to identify that when they show your content to somebody, that they come and they watch your particular video for a fair amount of time, enough to where it's a good performing video. And then they end up going to your channel page, or they click on one of your videos in the suggested, or in your pinned comment because you told them to, or in your end screen, and they start watching more and more of your content. You start creating like these little, I call them traps, but you start creating these little traps of content to where to where people come into this one and then they end up watching this one and this one and this one, right? To where you're building out playlists, or you're at least recommending video to video to video, and people come in and they start watching that stuff. And that's another thing that helps you build momentum in terms of, you know, people are coming into one video, and then because they enjoy your content, because it's a good match for their interests, and you know, and this is another one of those skill development things, but you know, hey, they're watching this video on this specific topic. Let me recommend another video that would be a complement or an extension of this particular topic that I'm talking about. And then they go and they watch that particular video, right? From your end screen, from a card, from your pinned comments, or, you know, your description, however you do it. But basically, when you start doing that and then you scale that over the course of a bunch of videos, then it can really create a ton of momentum, a ton of extra views for you, and really get that, like This Life Outdoor says, really get that snowball effect going for your YouTube channel. So now I'm going to get into the question. So C4 Defense says, hey, does banana bread before bed make the best sleep? I don't know. It's a fantastic question. I would ask Dr. Sten. He's in the chat right now. He is the one that would know that answer. What's up, Marcus? Nice to see you in here, my man. So let me get into the questions here. If you have a question that you want answered, we actually don't have a ton of questions in here. So if you have yours that you want answered, make sure you get it in there, because we can probably get to it here over the next like 25 minutes or so. Dr. Sten says, no, sugar and carbs. Don't do it. There's your question. There's your question answered, C4 Defense. Not only do you learn about growing your YouTube channel here on the TubeBuddy channel, but you also learn what you should not eat before you go to bed. So the very first question is from Musica Translate. Musica Translate says, if I translate music in Spanish and English, should I have separate channels for each, or can I put both on the same channel? So if it's music, if it's actually a language in terms of like you're singing, then, which I guess it would be if you have a different language. So yeah, I'd put them on two different channels. Music is kind of like a universal thing, but I would still put them on separate channels for the sake of just increasing your chances of not getting somebody that, or increasing your chances of making sure that you're nailing the right people for each channel, instead of depending on getting somebody that's open-minded enough to actually go in and listen to both kinds of music. So yeah, I would definitely put those on different channels. JJ Cubs, hope I'm saying your name right, says, Nick, how do I start my channel? I can make videos, I think, but my English is not great. Make videos in your native language. I understand that everybody wants to come into the English-speaking market, and you absolutely, like once you get to a certain point in your in how you can communicate, go for it. But if you are thinking to yourself like, yeah, my English isn't good enough yet, then make videos in your native language. And in fact, you probably have a better chance, because there's so much competition. Everybody's trying to get into the English-speaking market, especially people that speak English. So you most likely you have a better chance of being a much bigger fish in a small pond in making content for your native language than you do for the English market. Now, I understand that you're probably wanting the ad rates and all that stuff that come with, targeting an English-speaking market. However, you can pick that up on the back end by dominating your specific language. So I have a friend locally here in Thailand, and they actually make more from ads than most of the people that I know. So because of that, I do want to let you know that you can dominate big time in your specific area, so that you can lean on your language and do it there. And you're already fluent. Everybody can understand what you're talking about, and so on. Stormtrooper helmet. Yoga Bliss Dance says, I made videos that follow up on viral videos and they do well on chakras, but growth is slow, like a few hundred each time. Question: how to get suggested more? My top vids are because they are suggested. I've tried everything, same topic, different angles, thumbnails, shortened intro, etc. Just so slow. So what you want to do is you need to find benchmarks. So if you're trying to get your content suggested more, that comes down to getting people to click on your content more. Click on your content more, watch your video for a respectable amount of time. By respectable, I mean you're looking at, let's say you have a 5 to 10 minute video, you're looking at least 50% on those videos for the actual percentage viewed. But what you want to do is you need to go into your traffic sources for the videos that performed well. Go in at the video level. Basically go into your analytics. Click on your videos tab. You're going to see a list of your videos. Click on the videos that performed well. Open up a spreadsheet. Click on the videos that performed well. In that spreadsheet, put the name of the video that performed well, put the click-through rate let me back up. So once you're in the analytics for that video, then you want to click on the See More tab. Once you click on the See More tab, click on traffic sources. You might have to adjust the date range, but what you want to do is you want to go in and you want to say, okay, these videos that got more suggested traffic, they had at least a X click-through rate with at least X amount impressions. So that's my target. And you start loading those into a spreadsheet, and then you start being able to pull an average. Okay, across my YouTube channel, this is by this many impressions, this is a click-through rate that typically gets me suggested more. This is the average view duration that usually gets me suggested more. So once you know the average view duration, then you know, well, I got to make videos that are at least this long in order to be able to pull people through that video at a higher rate. Also, you want to note topics, the things that you're talking about in those videos, for the sake of making sure that the actual topic itself is something that your audience is interested in as well. Well, actually, both of these would be on chakras. So in that situation, you want to go and you want to break it down in the actual video level and try to figure out why that specific video performed over the other ones. Typically, it'll come down to the average view duration plus the click-through rate. Really mostly comes down to that, but then you have the other factors as well. Did it gain subscribers? Is it lost subscribers? Like, how are people responding to it overall? But really at the core of it, the thing that you really need to focus on that will make the biggest difference is going to be your click-through rate and how long they watch. Get them to click, get them to watch. Right? Those two things are going to make the biggest difference off of everything else that you do. But part of getting them to click is you have to make sure that the topic itself is a good match, and you have to make sure that you start identifying over time. When I make a thumbnail that's like this, people tend to click on it more, right? The people that YouTube is showing my content to tend to click on it more. So for example, if you scale out all of your videos and you say, okay, these are all my videos that perform well, that I got all the suggested traffic from. Now, what were the topic of these videos? And then you want to look for patterns there. In the thumbnails themselves, what aspects of these thumbnails can I see are similar across all the different thumbnails? And then you want to start looking for patterns there. Okay, well, oddly, I found out that if I have like a blue background in my thumbnails, that people click on, it seems like people click on it more. I noticed that if I have text or if I don't have text, people click on it more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that information and I'm going to lean on the scientific method, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to make a hypothesis on why I think people are clicking on this more. And then I'm going to test over my next handful of videos. I'm going to test that over a handful of different videos that are on a similar topic, and I'm going to see if I can get a similar response. Right? So what you want to do in order to make sure that in order to get into suggested is you want to lean really hard on the click-through rate that you're getting from suggested if you're targeting suggested. Typically, suggested can bring you like tons and tons and tons of traffic, but you also want to look at your browse as well, because your browse is also going to be a jackpot in terms of the traffic that you can generate from browse. I do want to let you know that typically, and this is not all cases are like this, but typically I found that suggested videos will have a lower click-through rate than browse videos. I don't know why, but that's just something that I found. But that's just something to keep in mind, and that's low in relation to the impressions. Okay, so next up we've got Siska Wilson. Says, I've only just started posting videos, 7 so far. Welcome to YouTube. Nice. So yeah, I'm good on browse and great on search. Okay, so you're just trying to raise up the suggested. Okay, yeah, so in that case, you want to go really hard on going in at the video level, looking at and I'm talking to Yoga Bliss here real quick. You want to make sure that you go in at the video level and start looking at what's going on with your suggested. Okay, with the click-through rate on your suggested versus the impressions. You also want to look at the actual watch time that you're getting from that in comparison to everything else too. So the question here is, I've only been posting, I just started posting videos, 7 so far. I still have so much to learn. My question is, using the free TubeBuddy already, when does it normally make sense to pay for the TubeBuddy subscription? Thanks. So what I recommend is that you remain a free user until you start getting 200, 300 views per video, 500 views per video. And then you can start upgrading for the sake of, trying to find better topics and things like that, depending on your approach for how you're trying to get traffic to your channel. But once you get to like 1,000 views per video, then you can start pulling in data a lot faster in terms of like going for the legend package to where you can start A/B testing thumbnails. And that basically means you're just comparing thumbnails against each other. Then you're starting to get enough data quickly to where you can start coming to some really solid conclusions when you start testing your thumbnails out. And another thing, Yoga Bliss Dance, that's another thing that you can do too. Like if you have the legend package, which you're on the TubeBuddy channel, I'm guessing you're a TubeBuddy user already, but if you have the legend package, you can actually A/B test your thumbnails too. And inside of the A/B testing feature, they'll actually show you which one performs better in suggested. So then you can actually use that also to help you make more effective thumbnails for suggested as well, because it'll show you browse, suggested, search, the whole nine. But yeah, so for the upgrade, yeah, I would get it. Like, even if you're getting like 1,000 views over the course of like a month on a video, like that's still okay for the upgrade too. It's just your A/B tests are going to end up taking a lot longer because it'll be like a full month instead of being able to pull that out over the course of like a couple of weeks. But I personally, like, I would go ahead and I would wait until you're getting about 1,000 views per video within like a month before you actually go all in on like a legend package. Now, in terms of the general upgrade, for the sake of being able to find the topics that you have the best chance of going for, with that one, I would do that after you're getting about 500 views per video. Yeah, but Andrew has the thing there for anybody interested in TubeBuddy where you can have a free trial. Next up, we've got Kevin Pinu. Says, are you going to release an in-depth YouTube analytics training for the new YouTube studio? Absolutely. That's coming right around the corner, just as a heads up. So without question, that is not one that I'm going to miss the boat on. So absolutely, without question, that is coming. I know everybody in the space, myself included, is going to be making random videos on like how to do different stuff in analytics, because everybody's going to be wanting to know how to use it, how to find stuff and all of that. But yeah, without question, absolutely. Next one is from HF's The Artist Haven. Says, what is the best way to improve a click-through rate on a video that you've already published? Does changing the title and thumbnail really work, or do you need to market that video more? Thanks. So when you are changing the click-through rate on the video, that click-through rate data comes from what's happening on YouTube. So if it's marketing the video in terms of, you are, putting it on your website, or you're sending it out to your email list, or you are putting it on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that, that actually isn't something that's going to make a difference on your click-through rate. The click-through rate only matters for what it is that you're doing on YouTube. So absolutely, changing your title and or thumbnail can make a big difference on your video. But like when you are doing that, you're leaning on what's happening on YouTube itself, not on the external traffic sources that you tap into. And as a matter of fact, I do want to let you know, and I have a link to it down in the description below. Give me a hashtag yes for anybody here that's on Reddit. If you're on Reddit, give me a hashtag yes. Hashtag yes if you are on Reddit. Because we just opened, and I've only shared it out on Twitter, we just opened a subreddit for YouTubers. So there's a link to that subreddit. It's called YTubers. There's a link to that. Make sure that you join it. Really cool community over there. Dee and I are both active in there. The TubeBuddy squad is going to be active over there. We've got like Podcastage over there and like a handful of other people. But basically, what we're going to evolve that into over time is going to be awesome. So as a content creator, our long plan on that is going to serve you in a massive way. So make sure that you go over there and you join the subreddit. A link to it is actually down in the description, and Andrew just dropped it in here as well. So let me get into the next one. So Ann P Makeup and More says, before I film, I use TubeBuddy to look for searchable content, and then with that, I get title and tags. But even though TubeBuddy shows this excellent tag for search, it doesn't always rank my videos. Why is that? Is there a better formula for creating a title? Okay, this is really important for all of us to understand as content creators, okay? When you optimize your videos for search, and this is search specific, when you are optimizing your videos for search, you can have the best metadata in the world, okay? If your thumbnail and your title, if your thumbnail, title, and the video itself doesn't perform, then it's not going to rank in search, okay? So you don't rank in search just by having like a good title and just by having, just by making sure that you have the right tags. That isn't what gets you ranked in search. That helps because you're giving YouTube context to what your video is about. You're helping the YouTube's artificial intelligence understand what your video is about with that. And you're also putting in there, if you target search, you're also putting keywords in there, keyword phrases in there that are things that people are actually looking for, so that when they type it in, then YouTube says, hey, this is what's here, so let's show it to them. But in order to get those spots, you have to have a video that performs. So here's how I want you to think about that. So let's say that you optimize your video for search, okay? Even though TubeBuddy says that you have a high chance of getting into that. TubeBuddy is saying that because based on what your channel is about, based on what your video is about, based on the other videos that are optimized for that term, TubeBuddy has identified that you can get into one of those spots. But the caveat of that is that you have to be able to perform at least as good as the videos that are in that other spots, and at least better than one of the videos that are in those other spots. And the reason for that is because when you publish your video, YouTube is going to be showing it around, but if you are optimizing that video for search, then that video will end up going into search, for either for the term that you're going for or other terms. And when it goes into search, when somebody looks for something, you're going to have the search results page that comes up, and that's basically the page that's a listing of videos that you can watch. If your video shows up there, and if it's for a handful of page loads, and people don't click on your video, they click on all the other videos that are there, then, or any of the other videos that are there instead of yours, then basically every time that happens, they're going to start demoting your video if people aren't clicking on yours, okay? So even though you have the phrase in your title, your ability to pull people in by the things that you add around that phrase, right? By the way that you make that phrase more compelling and or what's in your thumbnail itself, like that's going to make a huge difference. Now, let's say that your title is just like banging, right? Let's say that your title is awesome. Your thumbnail is amazing. You're getting people to click on your thumbnail. But once they actually come into your video content, then you drop the ball there. They come in, they come into your video content, and then you're getting like a 5%, 10%, 20% average view duration on a 5-minute video. Guess what? YouTube's not going to keep showing your video there, because when they show your video there and somebody clicks on it, people aren't staying on the video, which gives YouTube the information that lets YouTube know that the people that are looking for that search term, they are not digging the content that they're clicking on when they land on your video, right? So because of that, it's really important to make sure, I call it the response chain, but it's really important to make sure that you're getting a positive response all the way across the chain of events that happen on YouTube in order to really make sure that you're securing those rankings. So what I mean by that is when you optimize your videos for search and you get your video to show up, the very first point of response is that page loads, they see your thumbnail and title. What do? Right? Do they respond? Yes, they respond. They click on either your thumbnail or title. Bam, you got them. Sweet. Here's your opportunity, right? Now they're on your video. So you had that first point in the response chain. They got it. They're in, right? You got them. Now they're on your video. What happens then? Right? Are they responding to the video content at all? Are they watching it for a longer period of time? If the answer is yes, then you're drastically increasing your chances of maintaining that search position, or losing it for a little bit and then going back into it later. But if they respond to your video also, then what you've just done is you've made your videos more competitive, okay? You've become a stronger competitor to the people that you're trying to rank against. So let's say that in those search results, let's say that you and somebody else have the same click-through rate in your thumbnail, right? Or it's really close. Then in that particular case, next thing for the qualifier on if you stay in that spot or not for search is going to be how long are people watching your video for, right? So let's say that you get them to watch your video for longer. If your click-through rates were equal, let's say you get them to watch your video for a longer period of time, then in that case, your video has a higher chance of maintaining that search result, okay? Now let's take it a step further. Let's say that both of those are similar. Well, now, which one are people engaging with the most? Which one are people sharing the most, right? Which one are people adding to playlist? Which one's bringing people back to YouTube and they're starting their experience on that particular video, right? Then they start looking for that kind of stuff. So it's all of these things that go into, it's how you actually package up what it is that you're trying to rank in search, just as much as it is telling YouTube what it is that your video is about and actually targeting specific terms and making good thumbnails. It's the entire package, not just tags, not just the title, not just thumbnails. Hopefully that made sense. Okay, next up on the list, we've got Evermind, cool name, says, how do I check my thumbnail impressions? I heard you talking about it on the live feed, but missed the process to check that. So your thumbnail impressions, basically, if you go into your analytics, you're going to see your videos tab over on the far left. If you want to look at it from the video perspective, then you click in your videos on the far left in that tab, and then you go and you click on any of the videos that you're trying to figure out your click-through rate on. Now, once you are in there, you can click on the reach tab. You'll see that at the very top. You click on the reach tab, and when you click on that reach tab, if you look down the screen just a little bit down on the lower right, you're going to see like a diagram that looks like this. That's going to show you your click-through rate. That's going to show you the impressions that YouTube is currently giving you. And it's going to show you the views that you've gotten from those impressions and the total watch time that you're accumulating from those impressions, right? It's the performance funnel, right, is what that is. Now, if you want to take that a step farther, because that click-through rate is actually being averaged out, okay? That's like across all the features. So if you want to take that to a deeper level, depending on what it is that you're actually trying to target, then you can say, okay, well, let's say I have a 12% click-through rate. It's awesome. Where is that coming from, right? And then you're going to have an option to click on a see more, right? So you want to click on see more, and then when you click on see more, it's going to open up a whole other panel for you. And then when it opens up that other panel, you're going to see a whole bunch of other options that you can do. Up in the very top in the tabs that you're given, you want to click on traffic source. When you click on traffic source, then you can scroll down and you're going to see a listing of your videos. And on the far right-hand side, you're going to see your impressions click-through rate. That's going to show you the actual click-through rate. To the left of that, you're going to see your impressions. And then on the far left, you're going to see the actual traffic source itself that you're actually pulling that click-through rate and those impressions from. So that's where you go to look for that. Let's see here. Next, we've got Papa Drew's RV says, what about working with another channel cross-promoting with cards, or how would you do that? Absolutely. If you have another channel that is in alignment with the content that you make and you have an audience that's similar in some way, then absolutely, always try to work out collaborations in any way, shape, or form that you can, because they are valuable. One, you get to know the creators. Two, with any type of collaborations, because you're talking to each other, you're like, hey, you know how much traffic have I sent you, that kind of stuff. But basically you are basically just building bridges with other people when you do that. And that's a huge win when it comes to YouTube, because you don't know, like, you might be the channel that lifts up and then you can help other people. Other people might be the channel that lifts up and then they can help you in those situations. So, you want to make as many friends as you can. Okay. Now, collaborating through cards, collaborating through the videos, collaborating through the end screens, collaborating through pinned comments. Hey, this is my buddy's channel. Check it out here. Like that kind of stuff. Absolutely. Without question, you are encouraged to do that. But in order for it to be effective, or the most effective, you really need to make sure that the content they make is in alignment or similar to the content that you make, or that they have a similar or complementary audience to the content that you make. Okay. Now, another thing that I want to share with you too, and let me see if I can pull it up here, because I was just sending some screenshots to a buddy of mine a few days ago when I was at Starbucks. So inside of YouTube, you also have, and I'm going to show it to you on the screen here, but you also have where you can see, let's see here, let me make sure I didn't delete it. Yeah, so you can also see, if you go into the traffic sources and then you click on channel pages, like if you start sharing stuff with friends, I don't know if you can see that or not. You know what, you can't. But basically, like if you start, yeah, you can see the ones that I circled there. But basically, if you go into those same traffic sources for the different videos or your channel as a whole, then what you can do is you can see, if you start doing tab collabs, is what we call them, you can start seeing that, hey, when I do a tab collab with this person, their audience responds to me more than this other person. So as an example, like on mine, like I have a high click-through rate. When Brian G. Johnson shares my content on his community feed, I have a higher click-through rate from him than I do anybody else that I share with. When my brother shares me on his channel, he has the second highest. in terms of people actually clicking in and coming and watching. When TubeBuddy shares my content in their community feed, their click-through rate is lower, but the average view duration that I get is typically higher coming from TubeBuddy. But basically inside of your stats, you can just go to your traffic sources and then click on channel pages. And then when you start doing tab collabs, you'll be able to see who are the most effective people to collaborate with and who has an audience that responds to at a higher level, instead of just being like, hey, let's just, share each other's stuff, which is also cool to do. I mean, I do that anyway, also with other people in my space, but you can really start to identify if you're taking like a strategic approach, you can really start to identify, okay, when I share when this particular creator and I collaborate through our community feed, I get a lot more traffic from them because their audience has a higher click-through rate. They have a bigger audience. They have a higher click-through rate. They have a bigger audience, or their audience watches for a longer period of time. They engage more, whatever. But you can actually see all of that information too. So absolutely cross-promote, but also for your own sake, make sure that you're keeping an eye on that stuff as well. If you're going to take a strategic approach at all. Facts About Cats says, it's best to brand your thumbnail so that people who see your videos know it's from a creator they liked before, with a question mark. So yeah, it's good to brand your thumbnails, but at the very highest level, it's the most important to make sure that you're making thumbnails that the people that YouTube is showing your content to are going to respond to. So basically, when you're branding your thumbnails, what you're doing is you're making your content identifiable to people that are already subscribed to your YouTube channel or that have already watched your content. And then when it gets presented to them, they know it's yours. So then they can come in and watch it if they dig you or the value that you bring. Ultimately, if you're trying to grow your channel, then none of that matters, right? Because you're actually trying to reach an audience that's never even seen your stuff before anyway. So because of that, if you're trying to grow your channel, that doesn't matter. But if you're trying to walk that balance of, hey, I'm going to let my subscribers know that this is mine because other people make thumbnails that look similar to mine, so I'm going to let them know it's mine, so when they see it, they come in and they watch my stuff, then yes, absolutely beneficial. There's statistics that have been, or studies that have been done, case studies that have been done that have proven that that's a thing that is extremely effective. So absolutely, that's good for bringing your subscribers back in. Now, in terms of new viewers, none of that matters, right? But in terms of bringing your subscribers back in, absolutely. So I just want to say thank you for everybody for hanging out here during the live stream. I hope you learned something today during the stream. It went by really fast. It's so weird streaming for like an hour, right? So weird. Typically it's like 3 hours at least. So it's really weird streaming for an hour. But I just want to say thank you for everybody for hanging out here. Thank you to TubeBuddy for letting me come on the channel. Thank you for Andrew for holding it down on the moderation side. It's appreciated. If you haven't yet, make sure that you go over and you join our subreddit. And if you haven't yet, also make sure that you install TubeBuddy for free at tubebuddy.com/install so that you can see what TubeBuddy can do for you. Me personally, it's been a game changer for my YouTube channel. That's why I carry the flag heavily for TubeBuddy. So make sure that you check out TubeBuddy if you haven't yet. And again, it doesn't cost you anything to install it and see what it can do for you. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you